Good morning and welcome. Today I'm going to be making a Mexican style meal, but the difference is not only will it be gluten-free, but it'll be vegan. I'm going to substitute my dairy for vegan type products, and I'm going to be incorporating more vegetables. Trying to do a plant-based, kind of, sort of, not giving up everything, but I am cutting out pork, beef, and most dairy products. I'm still going to use, instead of whole eggs when I'm cooking for us here at the house, I'm going to use the protein, the white egg whites, and just not the yolk. Cut out the cholesterol. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make some salsa. And I'm going to do this from scratch. So I'm going to parboil some tomatoes, and while they are, and I'll take the skins off, and then I'll do a rough chop in a blender, in a mixer. And I will incorporate some cilantro, jalapenos, garlic, green onion, and regular onion. So let me get started. First thing I'm going to do, I'm heating up my water. I'm going to put my tomatoes in here. And to give myself a good head start on taking the skin off of these tomatoes, I'm just going to take the ends off. I don't know, I've never done this before, but I didn't want to use canned tomatoes. I wanted to go as fresh as I could. So we'll see. Hey, the worst can happen is it don't turn out exactly the way I want it to. I used to make salsa all the time, and I haven't done it since my kids left home. There's not a big need for a lot, so I'm going to just do a small batch. So I did 8 Roma tomatoes, and so now I'm going to add some hot water, and I'm not going to boil them too much. I'm just going to parboil them where the skins will start lifting off of the tomatoes, and then I'll take the skins off. So let me get the water and get started with that. Okay, I've added the water to my pot, and I'm going to let that heat up. Meanwhile, what I'm going to do is start chopping up my vegetables to put, and I'm going to dice them just a little bit, but I'm going to let this do a lot of the cutting for me. But I don't want big hunks, so I will do, this is about a quarter of an onion, a large onion, so I'm just going to, okay, chop up some green onion, put a little bit of green onion in there. I'll just take off, some people call them scallions. I'm not going to put too much because I already have onion. You can kind of do this according to your taste. I don't have a particular recipe as far as measurements go, but I always put regular onion, which I use the yellow onion, and I usually use green onion. I got this from a sister-in-law years ago, how to make salsa. Okay, then I have some garlic. I'm going to mince those up pretty well before I put them in there. I'm going to put about 2 or 3 cloves in there. You can never have, to me, you can never have too much garlic. That's a nice size clove, so I may just do 2. Yeah, well, let's see. Yeah, that's 1. We'll do those 2 right there. Put these. You can see tiny bubbles in the water. I might bring them to a slight boil, but I'm not going to let them cook too much. This is going to be so good. I'm going to use Beyond Meat for my protein for the hamburger. I'll show you how. I couldn't find it ground up, but I found burgers. So I'll just use the burgers and cook them down and ground them up and season them. I make my own taco seasoning mix. It's a lot cheaper than paying $1 a packet when you have most of that stuff, if not all, already in your pantry. Don't take that long to mix up a small quantity to me. I like that in my, give the meat just instead of just plain meat. Okay. And it won't hurt you to bite on some garlic. It's really good for you. And I think in between with everything else that's in here, you won't be able to, it won't be too harsh on you. All right, now I've got some cilantro, and I love cilantro, so I'm gonna put quite a bit. Love the taste, the flavor, it's great. I use this, the only type of parsley I use. It has, the other parsley doesn't seem to have any flavor in it as far as I'm concerned. This is wonderful. Let's see. We give this parsley a rough chop. I'm just gonna put it in here. And before I add my tomatoes, I'll do this. I'll toast this a couple of times to get everything a little bit smaller. I don't want it blended up too much. I'm going to go and I'm going to pulsate this for about 2 or 3 seconds, and then we'll check on our tomatoes. As you can see, chop these up a little bit. Yeah, looks pretty good. So then this will wait until I add my tomatoes, and I don't want them all the way liquid. I want chunks of tomato in my salsa. And I'll also season it with some salt and pepper. All right, let's check on these tomatoes. All right, let's see. Yeah, skin's starting to lift off a little bit. That's what I want it to do. Be a lot easier. Yep, they're almost ready. See a couple that haven't started yet, so I'll give them a little bit more time and I'll be right back. Yes, I almost forgot the trusted jalapeno to add a little bit of heat to the salsa. I'm going to put a whole jalapeno, but I'm going to take the membrane out. I don't want the seeds. I don't want it to be too hot. I can stand it, but I'm not sure my husband can deal with all that heat. So I'm going to put 1 whole jalapeno. And I'm going to, since I forgot to put it in my mixture, I'm going to chop it up here on this cutting board. dice some small so you only get little bites. I know I've said it before, I'm not that great with maneuvering knives, so I didn't even try to do this with that big knife. End up having a finger in my salsa. That wouldn't be very good. All right. Now we've got our jalapeno in there. Let's check these tomatoes. All right, let's see. I'm going to pause this. And as I do this, I'm going to drop the whole tomato in there. So these are hot. Maybe I need something to lay them on. All right, let's try this. I'm going to use this little fork. And it just takes the skin right off. Perfect. This is a bigger tomato. Let's see how it did. This is pretty hot, so you need to be careful, or else you can let them cool down. I just don't want to. I'm going to go ahead and blend this, season it, and put it in the refrigerator until time to eat. All right, so that's how you skin the tomato. Do that. Okay, I have finished peeling, taking the skin off of my tomatoes. Now I'm going to do a little some salt and pepper to this. And I think I don't want to chop it up anymore, so I'm going to put this in a bowl, mix my salt and pepper. I'm going to put this in a bowl, add my salt and pepper, and then I'll put it in a mason jar and put it in the refrigerator. All right, I'm going to put this in this bowl. Set this to the side. Now I'm going to add a little salt and pepper. Yeah, about a teaspoon of salt. About a quarter of a teaspoon of pepper. Not much, because I've got those jalapenos in it. Now, remember this is all natural, so it's not going to be the same as that you buy in the store, because they add additives and preservatives to it. Let's see if it's salty enough. A little bit more salt. About a half a teaspoon. Ought to be enough. This is going to be good on some tacos. You can even spoon it on your rice or on your beans. Everything in here is all natural. Better. Spoon it into this jar, put it in the refrigerator, and by the time we get ready to eat, it should be chilled. Coming up next, I'm going to show you how I'm going to create my own taco seasoning blend. All right, so look like I'm going to have more than enough to go in this jar. All right. Well, I'll do that, and then I'll have enough put this in a bowl and cover it, and that's what we'll use for our tacos. And just have this as a backup in the refrigerator. All right, I'll be back to show you how to do the seasoned blend. All right, now I'm going to start with my seasoned blend. And I put ground cumin, onion powder, chili powder, paprika, garlic. I use this as a thickening agent. I put salt, a little black pepper, and I put chopped onion in mine. And it reminds me of some of the packets that I have purchased, and they had onion in them, so I started doing that in mine as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons of chili powder. This is where some of the heat's coming from. Okay, I'm going to put about a teaspoon of paprika. Give it a little smoky flavor. And this too you can make to your own taste. Onion powder, I'm going to do a teaspoon. Ground cumin, which gives it that Mexican flavor. I'm going to, that's not going to fit, so I'm going to put a tablespoon. Excuse me. Alright. Garlic, I'm going to put a tablespoon of garlic. Salt, about a teaspoon. I don't want to put a whole lot. Black pepper, about a half a teaspoon. And my onion flakes, I'm going to do about 2 tablespoons. Alright, so then you can use cornstarch as a thickening agent. You can use white rice, tapioca flour, white rice flour. And I'm going to add a tablespoon because you'll have to add water to your meat mixture by putting this in. Then you just blend it up. And this is what people are paying $1 for Lowry's or sometimes more. You just blend that. And once your meat is brown, you add this to it. And voila, you have your taco seasoning blend. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little of this and season my rice. So I'm going to make some rice to go with our dinner, and I'm going to put some of this in there. Alright, so now I'm going to put on the rice, and I'll come back and show you how I'm going to cook my meat and get it ready. Alright, so now I'm going to prepare my protein, my meat. And I'm using this right here. It's Beyond Meat, I'm sorry. And it's burgers. I couldn't find anything ground up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these patties and I'm going to chop them, do a fine chop, and I'm going to put them in here. I didn't clean this out because I want some of that flavor from the salsa in my meat. So I'm going to cut these up and grind it up so it'll resemble ground beef. Cook it and then season it with the taco seasoning that I prepared. I let these sit out for a little bit. They were frozen so that they'd be easy to cut and also to grind up. All right. I want you to be able to see this. Okay, so now there's some big chunks in there, but as it cooks, I can break that up. So now I'm going to start my cooktop. I'm going to put it on 350. Put a little bit of olive oil just so that it doesn't stick to the pan. Just a little bit of fat is good. Once this heats up a little bit, I'll add the meat, or meat substitute, whatever you want to call it. Get this stuff out of your way so you can see. My trash bowl. Alright. As I cook it, once I add the seasoning, I'll take a close-up shot so you can see what it looks like. It looks just like ground beef. Maybe I might need to take these big chunks out. Get the rest of this in here. And I did 3 patties. And I think each one of those patties were supposed to resemble maybe 1/3 of a pound. So that'll give you about 1 pound of meat or protein. I'd like to visit a plant that produces this and see how they do it. I'm sure it's pretty fascinating. I bought these at Target. We're in Roswell, and it's pretty limited as to what you can get around here. I'm not a usual Target shopper, but I had to find it somewhere, and that just happened to be where it was. All right, the meat is cooked. Now I'm going to add a couple of heaping teaspoons, maybe 3, of my seasoning mixture. Add a little bit of water. I'm going to lower my temperature down to 275. And now I'm going to show you what this looks like up close. All right, there's my protein. This is Beyond Meat. And it looks just like ground beef, and it's going to taste just like it. You won't know the difference. All right, I lowered this down. I'm going to put it on low because I don't want it to overcook. it for almost, in fact, I think I'm gonna turn it off. And then when the rice gets done, I will heat it back up just enough to make the tacos. All right, so now I'm going to chop up my tomatoes, my lettuce, and I'm going to shred. This is, I don't know how to pronounce it, Daiya, D-A-I-Y-A. It's a medium cheddar style block, but it's not cheese. It's dairy, soy, and gluten-free. It has no cholesterol. So this is my first time trying this, but I'm going to shred up a little bit to go on my tacos. I'll give my husband the real thing. I don't think he's into this as much as I am. But anyway, that's what I'm gonna do. And then when I get ready to put everything together, I will bring you back. Stay tuned. Okay, here is my plate with my tacos and my condiments. You all have a blessed day. See you next time.